Hi, welcome to Gemini Star Spiritual Wellness. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited that you're here and I'm excited to be doing this video. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're having a great day. And as always, please like and subscribe. Hit the like button on this video so it'll go out to other people that need to see the information. And please subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get future videos that I put out. So today we're going to continue the chakra information series. And today we're talking about the sacral chakra. So I got my little notes here. So if you see me looking down, and that's what I'm looking at, it's my notes because I don't want to miss anything. All right. So the sacral chakra is located below, like right below the navel and at the pelvic bone. And as is in, if you don't really know what chakras are, please look at part 1 and part 2 videos that talk about basic chakra information to get you more information about what they are. But basically, for this chakra, there's a front and a back. Now, for the root and the crown chakra, because they're going up, the crown chakra is going up to the sky, the root chakra is going down towards the earth, then it's just, you don't have a front and back with the physical body, but in this one you do. So think of it as a little swirling, it looks like a little tornado, a funnel. And the pointy end is, by your body and it's going out. And it's this little, and it's spinning. It's a little spinning energy vortex. And so there's a front part in front of you, but there's a back part of it that's behind you as well. So there's a front and back for the sacral chakra. So, and basically what it's doing is the chakras, they're spinning and they're bringing in energy from your energy field to fill that layer that it's associated with and to help with what it's supposed to be helping with. But that chakra also is used to get rid of negative energy and to push it out as well. So it's connected to the gonad gland, and that is part of our reproductive system, that gland. And if there's an imbalance in this gland, it can cause infertility, excessive libido, and also mental instability as well. And the gonad gland also regulates sexual activity and production of sperm. And the chakra system is also connected to organs that are in our physical body, such as all our reproductive organs, male and female, but also lower intestines, kidneys, your lower back, your hips, and your endocrine system. So this chakra is developed from the ages of 7 to 14. So it goes through a 7-year cycle. So the root chakra that we just talked about in the previous video for this series, it's from 0, birth to 7 years. This one's from 7 to 14 years. And this chakra is one of the ones that the lower 3 chakras, the root, sacral, and the solar plexus chakra, are known to be the ones that get most gunked up with negative energy, because any trauma that happens to us during these years, from 0 to 21, is going to get trapped in those lower 3 chakras. And the problem is, like for small children, if they're going through trauma, they don't have a way to dispel that negative energy like an adult was. So it gets trapped into their energy field, into their energy system, and it can block up that chakra from spinning properly. And the same with the sacral chakra. From 7 to 14 is when that's developing. So it takes 7 years for a chakra to fully develop. And same thing, if there's trauma going on at that time, and which is interesting because that's the age when you're getting into, pre-puberty, getting into our sexual part of our body, our reproductive, organs start coming online, so to speak, and start maturing during that time frame. So if there's any kind of trauma going on during that time, that it can have, especially if it's like of a sexual nature, it can start to have problems with that chakra, because that trauma will get stuck in there as well and can block up our sacral chakra. Now, it doesn't just have to happen, trauma between 7 and 14, but, you can still have trouble with that, with trauma later in life in that chakra, if, in those areas, and getting rid of negative energy. So it can happen later in life too. But I think because of the development of that 7-year cycle of that chakra, it can be more of an issue during that time frame if you have trauma. into that, into that chakra. So that's just important to know that that's something that, might happen in the development of the chakra. So that's the time frame that it's developing, 7 to 14. But this chakra is also connected to creativity, and it's associated with the color orange. So if you ever see like any kind of artwork that depicts the chakras, like the root chakras always depict as red, and then orange for the sacral chakra. So they're associated with different flowers, the lotus flower, and different colors. So orange is the color of the sacral chakra. And if you have a lot of lower back pain and hormone imbalances, it could be associated with blockages from this chakra as well. And the sacral chakra is associated with our second energetic layer. So we've got 7 layers around our body, and they're just energetic layers of electromagnetic fields that are around us at all times. So we discussed the first layer that's connected with the root chakra in the previous video. This one we're talking about the second layer, which is the emotional layer around our body. And it's out a little bit further from the first layer, and it's about 3 inches from the body. It can go up to 3 inches from the body. So everybody's going to be a little bit different about how big that layer is, but it's up to 3 inches. So it just depends on the person exactly, the width of it, how far it is. So this layer, the emotional layer body, the second layer, allows us to feel emotions and contains all our emotional patterns that we have, and it makes up our personality. So, and that's kind of interesting, that chakra is developing from 7 to 14, because that's kind of when you start really to develop your personality. I mean, you do have a personality when you're younger, but it really starts to refine from the ages of 7 to 14. And you really start to come into your emotions. You really start to learn about how to handle your emotions, and you really start to come into emotional patterns. Now, of course, if you're having a lot, sometimes those emotional patterns can be toxic and negative, which would lead the chakra to get stuck, and get blocked. And so that's one thing that you need to look at if you're working on that chakra, is emotional patterns that are toxic or negative that you need to release. So also, this layer is more fluid than the etheric layer that's what's associated with the first layer. And it can be seen as being kind of a multicolored and moving energy. So it's moving around because emotions are fluid. And you think about in a tarot deck, the suit of the cups is associated with emotion, and it's fluid, and you'll see in the pictures, there's water in the cup, and it's representing water, which is fluid and emotional. So in this layer, same way, emotional energy, it's much more fluid, multicolored. So the different colors of this layer are associated with your different vibration and frequency. So different vibrations are going to be different colors than others. And that's why a lot of times people that have psychic gifts and they can see these layers and the colors, different people will be different colors because it's based on their frequency and vibration, the person that they're looking at. And the more we recognize our emotional patterns that we have, and like I said, release the negative, toxic ones, the better that this layer will work. Because if you're not releasing that toxic, negative energy, it's going to get gunked up and it's going to not work properly. And it's not going to, that sacral chakra is not going to work properly. And it's going to start to get blocked. And that can cause to problems. And also, if you have a lot of blocked energy in that chakra and it's not working properly, it will later manifest in the physical body. So it always starts out energetically first, because we're actually energetic beings, and even our body's made of energy, but it's just so dense and low vibrational that it appears to be solid, but we actually are energy that has been, brought to such a low vibration that we turned into matter, but we are indeed energy. And so if it gets gunked up on the energetic level, with in that layer, then it's going to start to come out in the physical body, such as lower back pain, or maybe some of the issues with the organs that I was talking about. and or hormone imbalances. It can start to have, you can start to have physical symptoms if it's not working properly. Because, like I said in the beginning of the video, that chakra is meant to bring in energy to keep that layer sustained and to keep our energetic body sustained, but also it has to dispel of the negative energy as well. It has to be both ways. And if you can't get that negative energy out, then it, can definitely cause a problem. So we need to oftentimes in childhood, we start to develop patterns, emotional patterns on how to handle things and deal things. And a lot of times it comes with trauma. If we experience trauma as children or had situations happen, or we've learned through patterns on how to handle that. And a lot of times those patterns aren't healthy or and they're very toxic. And so we carry those patterns, unfortunately, if we don't heal from it, we'll carry it into our adulthood. And a lot of times, that's where these unhealthy patterns start, is from our childhood. And so, and they can develop later as well, but there's usually, from what I've seen from just years of looking into it, it seems like it mostly starts in our, childhood years. So we need to recognize these patterns and become self-aware, and then start, then make the changes we need to get out of the patterns and heal that sacral chakra. So I noticed myself doing that, like I recognized patterns that weren't healthy that I had from growing up in my adult years. And then I recognized them like, okay, this isn't working for me. This is toxic patterns. I need to release this and, to get out of these patterns. And I've been able to do that, but you have to be consciously aware, first of all, that you have these changes that you need to make to these patterns. And you have to be consciously aware that they're not good for you and they're not healthy and that they're, holding you back or they're toxic. And you need to work on, getting rid of it and changing it, and also healing the sacral chakra. So, I didn't know really much about chakras. I never heard of it, didn't know anything about it until I'd say about 10 years ago is when I really started to get into researching all of this. And so I've been working hard since then to really try to keep my chakras open so that that flow of energy is coming in and out without restriction. So, it's just a kind of a constant thing. And and there's ways that you can, using a crystal pendulum that you can use to unblock your chakras. And so I've done that many times, but I also, when I go to Reiki healing, sometimes she'll do that for me as well. My Reiki healer, if she sees that my chakras need to be worked on, she'll do that for me as well. So you can do it yourself. You can heal your chakras yourself. And I think I might explain that in a future video on how to do that by yourself if you don't have someone to do it for you. But it really does work because I've done it to other people. And it really does work. And it's amazing how that little pendulum works, that crystal pendulum, and how it can work to, like cleanse your chakras and get them working properly. But as I got more into learning about this, I realized how important our chakras really are to not just our emotional, mental body and spiritual body, but also to our physical body. So it's really important, to work on keeping these chakras working properly so that you'll be healthy. All right. So really, this is going to be a short video because that's really all. I'm at the very end of it already. But I just wanted to do kind of a deeper, detailed view of the sacral chakra and to let you know about how it works. And so there are crystals that you can use for your sacral chakra. And I like crystals very much. I've got them all over my house. I've got them, by my bed, both nightstands. I covered them with them, but I really enjoy them. But important to remember too, if you use, crystals, make sure you keep them cleansed. And there's different ways you can do that. You can, cleanse them, smudging. I like to use sage and smudge them with the sage. But you can also use salt and leave them in salt for 24 hours. If they can get wet, because some crystals cannot get wet, like selenite. You can't get selenite wet, but some you can. So if you can get that one wet and it's okay with water, just rinse it under, clean water, and it will cleanse it. And also make sure to charge your crystals, put them out in the moonlight or the sunlight. Just make sure to do that occasionally as well to recharge them. But the crystals for the sacral chakra, basically, since orange is the color and it's about emotions and sexuality for that chakra, you can use something like this citrine. You can see it's a nice orange color. This is a larger stone. I've had this one for a couple years now, and just trying to hold it so you can see a good view of it. And I really like this stone. I do meditate with this one a good bit. And then you can also use amber, you can use cornelian, and you can also use moonstone. So moonstone is this one here. And there's different types of moonstone. This one I have is a darker one, but it's really, I like this one. It has the pretty lines in it. And I use this one a lot. You can use it for sacral chakra, but I also like to meditate it for not just sacral chakra, but I like to also meditate using it for my third eye as well. But you can see it's pretty. So there's different colors of moonstone. It comes in different colors, but that's the one I have. So those are some of the crystals that you can use to work on your on your sacral chakra. So just remember to do your best to keep it, keep it from getting blocked. And like I said, there are ways that you can use a crystal pendulum to unblock your chakras, but also meditation as well. So I'll give you an example. So if you're meditating, visualization is very important when you're meditating because your thoughts and words create your reality. So just what you're thinking is creating reality. So if you're laying there meditating and you're picturing your chakra, like say we'll use the sacral chakra as an example. So you get into a meditative state and you're focusing on that sacral chakra and you're focusing on your body, on where that was located, right under the belly button, in the pelvis area. And in my mind right now, it's coming to me as being orange. And you would, visualize that area being orange, and you're visualizing the energy coming in and out. You're seeing the spinning of the chakra there, and then just focus on that. And you can use meditation to help clear that as well, to help clear that chakra. So just focusing on it, wanting that chakra to, like your intention, putting your intention into it, that it's going to spin properly, that you're going to unblock it, that you're going to keep that, you're keeping that chakra healthy, giving love light energy to that chakra to help clean it out, clear it out. So that's one way that you can clear it out, is just, meditating. And sometimes I do that. I mean, sometimes I need to work on my chakras. And if I feel like I'm having issues with one, I will meditate, and that's what I'll do. I'll literally just picture that in my mind and, bring in that love light energy coming in from the divine, and it's helping to cleanse that chakra and helping it to spin properly. And then you can also use, like I said earlier, the crystal pendulum. And I really think I am going to do, after I'm finished with this series, I am going to do one just on how to use that to help cleanse your chakras. But it is quite fascinating, but that's another way you can do it. So I do a combination of both. So I do the meditation on the chakra, like I just described. And I do that for just a few minutes. You just have to do it for a few minutes, but just visualize it. And basically your thought, you're cleaning it out with your thoughts. You're unblocking it with your thoughts because it's becoming your reality. And I'll meditate on that for about 5-10 minutes. And then I also, use the crystal pendulums as well. If I feel like it needs a little extra beyond the meditation, I'll use that as well. So that's a couple ways that you can unblock it. But it is a very important chakra that I feel like a lot of people don't realize how important that chakra is. And especially because it's one of the lower three, we really need to keep it, working properly, keep it spinning properly, and work on eliminating any trauma or negative energy that has built up into that chakra. And, being that it's associated with our reproduction cycles, it can really have an impact on us as far as our health, but also on our emotions because it's tied into the emotional layer. So just think about that, how our emotions can really impact our behavior, our decisions, and how it can be a positive or negative. If we have too much negative emotion, it's going to be negative in that layer, and positive the same thing. So since it's tied into our emotions, it can be have a big impact on our life. So it's very important to keep that chakra running smoothly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something exciting and interesting about sacral chakras, and I'll see you soon. In the next one in the series, I'll be talking about the solar plexus. See you then. Have a good day. Bye-bye.